we've had a lot of time to read. If you can read, Taylor, what's your comic you got for us?
Did he just
I haven't been able to read in.
You can't read? Ooh, okay.
No,
we're going to cut that one out.
That's why I like pictures. That's why I like comics, because they got a lot of pictures that I can follow.
Hey, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
pictures. There you go.
So.
Yeah. And pictures worth 1,000 words, so it's hard to mess that up.
Sometimes I don't
Well, I can't say it's worth 1,000 words because I don't know how many that are.
You don't have that many in your vocabulary, so.
What's a vocabulary?
Exactly.
All right. So it's May 2020, which means as of April, we have reached the second anniversary of when the Dark Knight Metal comic series ended. So 6-issue core miniseries that launched a whole bunch of other series that people just could not get enough of this comic. So I actually have the very number one Dark Knight's Metal that is signed by the freaking creators themselves. So Scott Snyder took a character, Batman, that everyone knows, okay, and said, what if Batman was a bad guy? Not only that, what if he had multiple versions of himself, the different powers, different abilities, with a story that put him against Batman, the Justice League, and so many different characters, and said, multiverse versus Batman, go. And everyone just went, I'm sorry, what? So I would suggest you look at that because, first off, it's a crazy thought, okay? Because you have Batman, one of the most intellectual, complex, most bad A character in the DC universe that is capable of so much available to take. See how excited I am. Able to take down so many superheroes with just himself. And now you have different versions of Batman with different superpowers that his friends have, like a Green Lantern power ring or super speed or the helmet of crap. I just lost my train of thought. The helmet of Ares and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to build a story around one of your favorite heroes being a bad guy. And they throw so much emotion into it because of the stories and the backstory that happened to these bad Batman that drove them down that path is absolutely tragic that you wouldn't expect to see. But when you see it, you're shocked, but you're interested to know what happens next. And that's why they had that 6-issue core miniseries. But there were so many issues that came out of each one of those series that gave more backstory and more story to it. So Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, excellent writers and artists, just created a beautiful, great story. Y'all need to check it out if you haven't. I'd love for them to make a movie.
That'd be cool to see that come to life on the screen.
They probably won't, but
yeah,
you never know.
You never know. And Reese, Lane, I know that you said you love the Sandman series, and the Dark Knight's Metal I think it was the one that brought the first appearance of Dream of the Indus, whatever, from the Sandman series that you like so much into the DC universe as well, into their part of the DC universe as well.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. So okay.
Into the Vertigo universe, essentially.
Yeah, I was saying because DC Vertigo they are together, and well, that makes too much sense. Interesting. I might have to check it out just for that. All right, you got me hooked. You could have just said that to begin with.
And that doesn't
been it.
Forget the story. Just bring in the Sandman people.
Just say Sandman. I'm there.
There you go. Boom.
I think
awesome.
One of the stories that spun off of that is the Batman Who Laughs, which is like the Batman, if he's like this, Joker kind of character, but like kind of demonic looking. And I have the miniseries that spun off called The Batman Who Laughs, 7 issues. Haven't got to see it yet, but looks really interesting for sure, coming off of the Batman the Metal universe.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. All right. We'll definitely have to check that out then. Never know. So, Reese, what do you got for us?
So, my pick for this week is kind of going with our overall theme today, law enforcement and detective. The choice that I have is Savage Dragon by Image Comics. So if you've been following us the past couple episodes, I've been kind of going through the beginnings of Image Comics in the early 90s and kind of walking through each title, starting with Youngblood by Rob Liefeld, Spawn by Todd McFarlane, and now going into Savage Dragon by Eric Larson. So Eric Larson wrote this. He's the creator and the artist on this book, and it's still running book today, which recently Spawn hit its 300th issue and broke a record, and now Eric Larson's kind of coming up into the 200s of his book too, so he's going to be catching up to Todd McFarlane's Spawn pretty soon. But if that tells you anything, that it's a great book and people are still interested in it, even after 25 years. So essentially what Savage Dragon is, it is a creature, man, hybrid character who has a big fin on his head and has these, mutant abilities to him, super strength, and essentially kind of looks like a dragon dude. But his character is based in Chicago, and he works with the Chicago Police Department. And basically his backstory, it's not super in-depth just yet. I only read the first 3 issues, which is like his introductory miniseries. But basically what we know about Savage Dragon is the police department found him at a giant building fire wreckage, and when they found him, he didn't know who he was. He didn't know anything about him or his life. But what was weird is he knew everything about everything else. So they would ask him, like, who's the president? He'd be like, oh, George Bush. And then they'd be like, who played so-and-so in this movie? And he'd be able to tell them. But, like, he could not tell them where he came from, what his life has been, and what his name is. So that's really interesting that they've kind of introduced in the story to kind of show his experience on a police force and, fighting for good and what that means for him without really knowing much about his morals to begin with. But it's really interesting, a really cool series because, like I said, it plays with the detective aspect and the law enforcement aspect really well. And basically, if I could explain it without giving too much away on the story, it's Rambo meets John Wick. So, like, because that's basically what his character is. He's this big brooding guy that like fights the bad guys, and he comes into the scene like Rambo and just goes to town on these people and other superhumans. But yeah, like I just remember like a spread in particular where it's like a full page and he's coming in with his gun and he says his little one-liner and it's just perfect. It's like a cartoon version of Rambo. It's a really fun book. Highly recommend you check it out. If you ever want to borrow books, I could send them your way. I'm sure they're available digitally, and then they're pretty available in most local comic stores. If they happen to have Image Comics, that's a staple of the brand. So pretty easy to find. But I highly recommend checking out Savage Dragon. Have you all heard of Savage Dragon? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have heard of Savage Dragon. It's different from Imagine Dragons.
That's what I was gonna say.
So you do. No, but it looks cool. I mean, like it almost reminds me of he looks like a really old horror movie that my dad always talked to me about, which was Creature of the Black Lagoon. Yeah, he looked very similar to that. Like his look is similar to it, but I guess they put more of a twist on him being like a hero, I guess, or
right, but also an outsider. So like there are some like the Creature from the Black Lagoon, where it's like people don't know what to think about him, but like fighting for good. So they're like yeah, he's on our team, you know. But as soon as something goes wrong, it's like he's the first to blame, you know.
Right.
There's that aspect of like, is he a hero? Is he not? You know, can we trust him on our police force? But at the same time, we need somebody like him because crime is just through the roof right now, and so there's all these different questions that it asks, you know, through each issue that's really interesting, you know. And it's not just a two-dimensional character. There's layers to this guy, and they kind of peel back each one of those layers throughout the issues. But then, like I said, also they just have fun with it and, you know, shoot them up as well and beat people up.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Dude, you got Dragon, Cop, buddy comedy, horror, action movie I'm in a comic book.
Yeah.
So, I was like, you jam-packed everything Taylor wants in a comic
everything.
book.
I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want to see that? One, everybody loves detective mysteries. Everybody loves superheroes. Some people like police. Other people don't. But I mean, this is the character who is the separation from he's a cop, but he's also a hero, but he's not. It's one of those that can try to bridge the gap between a hero and a police officer. Yeah. And I personally love it. I think it's a great concept, and obviously it's been very successful because it's still coming around. So I'll give it my stamp of approval. Absolutely. I think you're the one that actually introduced me to that, Reese.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep pushing it on you until you read it because I promise you, you're gonna love it. It's a great idea, and it's like I said, it stood the test of time. Each book brings on its new episode. I mean, there's obviously an overarching storyline, but like each issue kind of builds on the last in a way where it's like, we're going to tell this story. Now we're going to tell this story. It's like, oh, remember that story? We're going to tie that up here. And so it's really, really cool how they approach that. And like I said, I haven't gotten too deep into him to know everything about him. But like I said, from the first 3 issues, basically what they put out to kind of get everybody's reaction from, it's a really fun series. And I'm going to continue to read and find, you know, more issues in my collection to kind of go off of. But those first 3 books are solid. Highly recommend it.
All right. Well, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. All right. Well, for my book, I have selected something from DC Vertigo. I have it sitting with me right here because I love looking at the cover. Yeah, isn't that a surprise? DC Vertigo. But it is a comic by the name of Preacher.
Ooh.
There's right there. Kind of cool artwork, and then there's the back. This is actually a trade. This is volumes 1 through 12. I'm not going to talk about all of them. So sorry about that. Also, I haven't read all of them.
Here's the synopsis. Where are my reading glasses at?
Yeah, actually, let me look at the back. That's exactly what I was going to do. So basically here it says, it talks about the Reverend Jesse Custer. He tracks down a fugitive and he tries to make him answer for the sufferings of his creation. And basically it says he goes all over from New York City to backwoods in Louisiana, and he's trying to cut a righteous path across the soul of America. So that sounds pretty cool to me. Yeah. And I've looked into it, and it looks like it deals with everything between heaven versus hell and what's morally right and wrong, good versus evil. And it kind of makes you question that in the sense it's like, well, is this really evil, or we just say it's evil because some guy decided it's evil? Or is this good because someone said it's good, or is it actually the right thing to do, or is it benefiting them in a way that's like, you know, they're just saying, oh, this is good, so you should do it, and just take my word and don't question it. You know, stuff like that. So I'm like, It's also, there's a TV series on it that I've really been wanting to watch.
Yes.
Also, I really like looking at the, I'm trying to find a good page here to show you.
Pictures.
The pictures are cool because I don't really know how to read. Taylor, you get it.
Hey,
I get it now.
Yeah. And see, there's a cop right there to that page I opened up. So there you go. Yeah, no, it's got great storytelling, which that's another reason why I love DC Vertigo comics like Sandman, because the storytelling is like great in it. I just read the first volume so far, but it's already got like great stuff. So yeah, it's a really, I think it's gonna be a really cool read, and yeah, that's about it.
Challenges the natural paradigm of mankind.
Yeah.
Good, evil. Who wrote the line? Where's it at? You gotta love those movies, TV shows, and books, because the more that people can question their beliefs, is the more that they can understand why they are their beliefs in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay,
Right.
because you don't want to blindly go into something without knowing exactly what you're doing, why you don't like it, why you love it, why is this good, why is this evil. And we live in a world now where a lot of people don't get that. They don't
Yeah.
get educated on why they should like this, why they shouldn't like this. Here's my belief. I'm going to let you choose to accept it, deny it because of these reasons. People are now, you like this, you don't like this. I'm not going to tell you why. Just do what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
And
So
with
offering these books.
that,
Yeah, go ahead.
with little information on top of that, it's like, I'm going to believe what I believe with this little information that I know about it. And
right. And the
Right.
book is this big, and I'm only giving you this much. Do your research.
And not only that, but I feel like people are inclined to be like, well, I believe this and I'm right, and I don't like your way because it's different, and I don't want to have a civil discussion, so I already automatically hate you for it. And it's just like, wow, really? You don't want to even attempt to listen to them? And they're like, nope.
2020.
Yeah.
Hashtag 2020.
But what I do know is that we all picked stories that cause you to think and question, whether it's the morals or just the norm in general. And something like a book called Preacher, you would initially think, okay, what is this about? Is it a religious book? Is it, what is being accomplished here? But it's actually taking the idea of what you think a preacher is, turning it into this fictional character that does all these different things and questions all these different things, and then leaves you kind of to reflect on that and be like, oh wow, what did I just read? It's like, did he really just do that? And he's a preacher. It's like, does it tell you much if he's like a preacher, or is this more of like metaphorical kind of thing with his character?
Right.
Yeah, but then there's also moments where he's not like, pure evil. It's just because he has moments where he does do good things, but there's also, there's just it puts human qualities into what people put on a pedestal and think, oh, because they hold this position, they should be holy 100% of the time. It's like, well, no, everyone's human. Like, everyone's going to mess up. They're just trying to be a better version of themselves. And so that's where it's, people don't understand. They think, oh, I'm going to catch that one mistake you make, but not regard the 100 like good deeds you've done. And for some reason, people eat that up, and that's why people like, rumors and gossip and, bad things. Like, so we're not going to focus on the good of humanity. It's just
one of the biggest misconceptions is people don't realize that they can fail, and failure is the biggest motivator and educator that makes you a better person. So having these comics that introduce that and say it's okay to fail, let me show you how this person failed in a way so you can learn from it, and you can go out there and not try to be successful all the time and never fail, because you don't learn from success. Sure, you might be kind of happy, you might get some things, but if you don't fail or anything like that, you're never going to learn. You're never going to build character. You're never going to improve. You're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And those are the people that you see manically depressed, sad, and just bad things happen to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people look at people and think, how'd they get so successful? Like, what the heck? Why can't I be like them? They think it's like a, 2-step program or something, but it's like, man, buddy, you don't know. Like, they've been failing left and right, and they just haven't showed it, and you haven't seen it. And so it's like, people just think they're automatically entitled to success when it's like, well, no, you gotta stumble before you can start actually walking and running.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a quote the other day that like defined success in a way I've never really thought about it. And basically what it was saying is success is the measure of doing something that you love and doing it well.
Yeah,
like, that's
absolutely.
To me, that spoke a lot, because I do something that I love, and I feel like I do a great job most of the time, and there's a lot of people out there that have a definition of success that doesn't align with that. They're not doing what they love, but they want to be successful in something that they hate, or they want to have this bank account, or they want to have this kind of house or this car. And so it's like success is what you can make of it, but doing something that you love. Because I feel like, to me, that's successful. When you're happy, when you're not depressed, like you were saying, or sad about things that are going on around you. It's what you do with, what you love is where you can find success. And it's why I love comics, because a lot of them ask these questions, secretly, and you're like, wow, I just got blown away by this panel because they said something. All it took was one little 2-inch panel to change your life, or to change your thought process on something. And that's just how powerful art is. That's why I can't not recommend comics to anyone anymore.
No, and to go off of that specifically, that is one thing that you gotta love Stan Lee for, because he was the first one to introduce a superhero with problems.
Yeah,
everybody like how I said that. So like problems. No, but seriously, I mean, he was the first one to say, yes, okay, we're not all heroes. Let's create a situation that people can actually learn from, instead of reading and going, I want to be a god among men, but not work the way to get up there. I mean, I heard someone yesterday. I heard someone the other day say, man, I hate that I have to work to make money. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
Like, there's no jobs available. Yeah, unless you want to work 40 hours a week.
Yeah. You mean people aren't just going to give it to me?
Oh, sheesh.
I was expecting a check in the mail.
Yeah, but no, that is true, because, and I think it puts human qualities to, like you said, like, I want to be like them, but now it's like, oh, I can relate to them. So in a way, I'm kind of like them. And that makes people realize their true potential. And they're like, oh, well, then if they can do it, I can do it. Instead of, like again, like I said, putting them in an area where it's like, oh, I can never achieve that, making it seem impossible. It's like, well, that doesn't encourage anyone.
Well, I mean, like Spider-Man, he was a high schooler with high school problems, and that's why he became so popular, because everyone can relate to that. Not everyone can relate to Clark Kent and Superman, because he's just, that's his character is big and gigantic. But to your point of Stan Lee and what he did for comics, his response to DC and Superman, Batman, and all them wasn't, hey, I'm going to go try to do that but better. It's, I'm going to try to do that but different. And so that's, the rest is history. But what he did is basically what we're talking about here, changing people's thoughts. He introduced one of the first African-American superheroes, a lot of the first women superheroes. And so it's like changing the conversation, making people think differently, and then allowing people to have conversations like we're having right now about life from a comic book. That's powerful stuff. It's like this.
Yeah, and that was all thanks to me and my comic. So there you go.
Good choice, Lane. Good choice.
There's a lot of books that do that, but Preacher definitely does that in a big way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We could have
it's
a whole
actually
podcast.
Really excited to dive into it.
We could have a podcast just off of this.
Great stuff.
All right, fellas. Well, I guess that wraps it all up. I think I'm out of ideas. I don't know if y'all got anything to add to it. Guess we'll close it out here.
This is y'all's show. I'm just here.